Wait here, at the top. Catch your breath. On your left, look down and see a cross on the floor. Walk slowly to the center of it. Turn right and slowly walk forward to the glass. Extend your right fist in front of you until your fist is flush with the vertical blue metal beam. Stand still, drop your arm. What do you see? The Student Services Building? There's a triangle peak of the SSC building. To the left of it, you spot Bullman Road on the valley floor, several kilometers in the background, flush with the corner of the triangle. Follow this road with your gaze, and you will see an orchard and a community named Ellison. 1 year ago today, the Earth was at this point in its revolution around the sun, and I lived with Jason, Piera, and their 2 children, Mason and Kiara. There's a white elementary school that sits square over the horizontal roof between the highest triangular peaks of the Student Services Building. There was a vicious storm in October 2007. I thought the trees were gonna fall. I watched the fence blow down almost seconds before Jason, Piera, Chiara, and a gust of wind came through the door. The steam from my pasta pot blew away. Then they told me, softly, that Chiara had diabetes and that they had all just found out from the doctor. Chiara was sad, and they were in shock, and a week later decided to fly on a jet plane to Mexico in February. That made Chiara happy, but she struggled when it was time for insulin shots. They'd use the Mexico trip as leverage. Chiara was very small. Turn around, return to the cross in the floor. Turn left. Walk very slowly down the center of the hall to the red bed that is mounted on the wall. Walk close enough to see the patterns on it clearly. Quite often we are born in beds, and quite often we end in beds. Close your eyes. There's a picture of my father with his father. They hold up long salmon by the gills. The salmon reach their feet when mouth at waist height. Probably the last photo of them together before Norm's death. My father then would have been the age that I am now. What dies with a life? Is it the mind of the deceased that disappears from view, wrenchingly, never to be accessed again? Or is it the damage only in the living? You can open your eyes now. The rectangular window calls to you and you kneel on the side table in front of it. Look down to the living foliage. 2 weeks ago, it took me 10 minutes to enter the room. My stepmother came out and put her arms around me, and I said I was frightened. She brought me in even though I didn't want to, and I could barely breathe. There was music on, and my father and his sister were standing and talking. Ethel was so small and unconscious and slack-jawed. I think the slackness did it to me, and I found myself standing by the window, looking over the Fraser River. It was gray. It was 3 weeks ago. I looked out over the Fraser River, and the cello and piano music seemed like hissing snakes dancing around me in the room. My grandmother lay, not breathing. She would start again after 20 seconds of complete stillness. Her damn jaw was so slack. She had nothing left. 94 years, down to this. So stand up and walk down the hall directly behind you, the one with the glass wall at the end of it. But first look back at the bed one last time. My traveling and peering through all I've been through just seemed mercilessly puny there, while I tried to catch my breath and while I can barely look. My father comes and puts his arms around me. He takes me around by the hand, and we sit on either side of his mother, my grandmother. I feel her little thin foot through the blue cotton. What really scares me is now I've seen it and felt it, and I wish it not to be true, but I sense it is a rehearsal, and I'm frightened at that thought. A rehearsal. But I'm glad for her because she's in a quieter, more pleasant place now. Lessons in grief and learning the illusions of life, like letting the stroke of time discover the pané velvet of what truth is and turns out to be. At the end of the hall, sit in a chair, see if you can find a yellow name tag. It was the one I wore that Sunday when Ethel had her going-away party. It reads, Salvation Army, Buchanan Lodge, Visitor. Let's leave it there. I might come back every now and again to see if it's still around. So look out the window and imagine popping your head through the top of puffy clouds and looking around to clear skies. Well, for me it was like that, learning to think of myself as a cultural subject. We all know these ideas, but sometimes need to put them to words. I was born and reared, yes, by my parents. Perhaps you had parental figures. Wait a second, maybe everyone has. All of us, or most. We inherited cities, structures, ideas. We inherited language and norms, and they're building on each other all of the time. When I popped my head over the top of them clouds, I could see my person as utilizing an identity that was more inheritance than a sense of self that I thought I might have had.